Will a grieving soul find solace in the present or forever remain stuck in the past? Find out as two strangers band together to close magical doors, in hopes of keeping Japan out of harm's way. The movie opens with a little girl walking through grassy fields in the middle of the night. She keeps searching for her mother in the midst of abandoned and destroyed town. She looks back to see a woman approaching her. The dream ends and the protagonist Suzume wakes up. She is having breakfast and already dressed in her high school uniform, while her aunt Maki prepares her bento box. She informs Suzume that the girl will have to figure out dinner on her own, because she will be out tonight. Suzume leaves for school on a beautiful sunny morning. The sea is sparkling and the weather is clear. On the way she comes across Sata Munakata walking up the hill. She seems to be infatuated by him. Sata asks her for directions to any ruins which might contain a door that he is in search of. She points him towards an abandoned old town over by the mountain. Suzume stops for a train to pass, and her friend Ayu joins her there. Suzume, in the spur of a moment, turns her bike around and starts going up the hill. She astonishes herself with the impulsive decision of going after Sata. Suzume parks the bike and starts hurriedly making her way up the ruins. She calls out for him, but he is nowhere in sight. Suzume feels like she might be stalking him. She is about to leave when her eyes land on a door in the middle of a dome filled with water. She remembers him saying something about a door and makes her way towards it. Suzume opens the door and is greeted by the sight of a vast grassy field and a night sky, just like her dream. She tries to step inside this newly discovered universe, but keeps walking back into her own world. She sees a strange animal-like stone laying in the water and picks it up. It suddenly transforms into a cat and scurries away. This gives Suzume a fright, and she runs back to school, leaving the door open. She definitely shouldn't have done that. She joins her friends in class. Suzume tries to tell them about her experience, but drops it. The girls insist on wanting to know, but her attention diverts to smoke coming from the mountain. The other two seem to not see it. To top it off, they all get a 4.0 earthquake warning notification. The building starts to shake, but it stops after a few seconds. Suzume is still stuck on that smoke. It seems to be spreading in different directions, sort of like an insect's legs. Since she is the only one able to see it, she hastily makes her way back to the ruins. Her suspicion is confirmed. The smoke is coming from the door in the dome. She definitely shouldn't have opened it. Sata is already there, trying to push it close, but it seems to be quite a difficult feat. Their eyes meet. He warns her to get out of there. The distraction makes him lose his balance and is tossed to the side from the force coming through the door. The smoke has transformed into so kind of a plague like humongous worms. They fall on the area, bringing a strong earthquake. Sata again tries to close the door. Suzume joins him in the effort as well. Sata starts chanting a prayer while he keeps on pushing the door. Suzume starts hearing voices. The both of them succeed in closing the door. He locks it. After it's done, the sky clears up and rain falls. Sata inquires Suzume on seeing the worm and having the keystone for opening the gate. She is flabbergasted and doesn't understand what he is on about. Sata lets it go and thanks her for the help. On the way back, they see that houses have been shaken pretty badly by the earthquake. They go to Suzume's place, and she tells him to go upstairs. She wants to patch up his wound since he refuses to go to the hospital. He goes upstairs and tidies up her room. He comes across a child's chair and sits on it. According to the news report, the earthquake was a record-breaking 6.3 magnitude. Suzume proceeds to bandage his wound. He is impressed with her nursing skill. She tells him that her mother was a nurse. But first she has a lot of questions to ask him. She asks about the worm. He relays that Japan has a worm lying underneath it which causes earthquakes. For the time being, another keystone has kept at bay, but they need the other keystone that escaped earlier to completely seal it inside. She asks about him, but he only gives her his name. They are interrupted by a talking cat. It magically puts Sata's body in the chair that he was sitting on. Sata, or now the chair, goes after the cat. Suzume can't believe what is happening. She grabs Sata's key and runs after them. They end up on a ship. The cat jumps off it and lands on a boat. Tamaki is worried about her, but Suzume is too busy to give her a straight answer and tells her that she is having a sleepover at Aya's, when in reality she is actually on a ship. Sata figures out that the cat is the keystone. Suzume unknowingly set it free, and it decided to put a curse on Sata. He lets her know that he is a reploser. A closer is someone responsible for closing doors in order to avoid disaster from spreading. Suzume falls asleep, but her dreams start to haunt her again. During the dream, she is a little girl crying for her mother on a cold winter night while standing in front of a door. She opens it, but the dream abruptly ends. It's the next morning. Seagulls are flying above. The sun is bright and the sky is clear. The ship stops and they get off. Well, more like Suzume carries the chair. They spot the cat on social media. It's everywhere, posing for pictures and getting pets. The cat is called Daijin. Sauta wants Suzume to go back home, but she stays. His chair form has been noticed by a good amount of people, and thanks to social media, he is already known by thousands. So he's got no option left but for Suzume to carry him around. They head towards the location where the most recent post regarding Daijin has been uploaded. It's a tangerine farm. Up the hill, a girl named Chikara Mabe is on a scooter carrying tangerines. She zooms past them. The road is bumpy, causing the tangerines to roll down the hill. Sauta acts quickly and saves them from rolling down any further. Chika thinks Suzume helped her with the tangerines and thanks her wholeheartedly. The girls are sitting down when Suzume's expression changes into a worried one. The worm has caught her eyes. A gate nearby must have been opened. Chika doesn't understand what is going on, but she offers to give Suzume a ride to the abandoned hillside. The goal is to close the door before the worm hits the ground, or else there will be another earthquake. On reaching there, Sauta starts going towards the door and encourages Suzume to go back, because things are about to get dangerous now. This time an abandoned school has become the gate. Sauta, being a chair, isn't able to close the door. The air is so strong the key rips out and falls further away from him. The worm is about to hit the ground when Suzume comes running, just in time to close the door. Sauta tells her to imagine the voices of the people before the school was abandoned. She concentrates and starts hearing them. In no time the keyhole appears. Sauta starts chanting a prayer, and Suzume is able to lock the door. They are glad to have stopped an earthquake from taking place. Daijin appears and mischievously informs them that another gate will open soon. It runs away after that. This means Daijin was probably responsible for opening this gate. At nightfall, Suzume calls her aunt to let her know about her whereabouts. The aunt is surprised because Suzume had previously lied to her about staying at Aya's. She is very upset and instructs her to be back by the next day. Suzume is staying at an inn. She apologizes to her aunt over text while Chika brings her dinner. The girls eat dinner. They gossip and enjoy cleaning up the inn. Chika wants to know what Suzume was up to in that abandoned area, and why she has brought that chair. Suzume tells her that the chair is a keepsake from her mother, but right now things are a bit complicated to explain. The next day, Daijin is on the broadcast for crossing the cables of a suspended bridge. Suzume quickly tries to wake up Sauta. They need to hurry because the cat is about to cross over to Kobe. Sauta tells her that the cat is a god. She is trying to get a ride to Kobe, but it starts pouring heavily. The next bus is going to arrive in 6 hours. They get picked up by a kind lady named Rumi Ninamiya. Her twins are curious about the chair. Luckily, they are also headed back to Kobe. The daycare center cancels last minute and she needs a babysitter, so naturally Suzume has to babysit them. The twins are a handful. They climb all over her. Sauta decides to step in and help her. They are fascinated by a talking and moving chair. Thankfully, with Sauta's help, babysitting becomes manageable. Rumi asks for Suzume's help at the bar as it's jam-packed, and they are in need of extra hands. At the bar, Suzume spots Daijin. She calls Sauta and they start running after it. Daijin points to an abandoned park. Looks like the cat opened another door because the worm has appeared in the sky. The duo hurriedly makes their way towards it. Earthquake starts while they are trying to reach it. This time a Ferris wheel has turned into a gate and Daijin mischievously stands on top of it. Sauta comes up with a plan. He is going to catch Daijin and turn him back into a keystone. In the meantime, Suzume will close the door. Sauta chase after the cat and is somehow able to jump on Daijin, but they both fall into the power supply room of the park and accidentally switches on everything in it. The people in Kobe can see the park light up. Suzume gets stuck on Ferris wheel. As she looks inside the open gate, she sees a lady handing her little Vision the same chair. On the other hand, Sauta is battling Daijin to turn it back into a keystone and seal the worm, but it refuses, while saying that Sauta has been given this duty now. When his eyes fall on Suzume, she is already inside the door of the parallel world and passes through it. Suzume is about to fall out of the Ferris wheel pod, and Sauta tries yelling after her and hopes to snap her out of the trance. He starts chanting the prayer and gets on the ride. It helps because she starts seeing visions of people previously visiting the park. Sauta gets her out of the pod. They keep pushing and manage to close the door once again. The park lights turn off and Daijin is out of sight. The duo sits inside the pod. Sauta inquires what she was able to see inside the gate. Suzume explains that she saw a starry night sky and grassy field. Sauta is taken aback by her answer because this means she can see the ever after. It's where the souls rest. This is why she wasn't able to go inside the door because she is still alive. Her running away had left Rumi worried. On returning back, Suzume apologizes for worrying her. The three of them sit down for dinner. Suzume wants Sauta to feel included, so she sits on the chair. At night, Suzume asks Sauta if he often travels like this, closing doors. He replies that he does indeed travel, but not always. He has his own apartment in Tokyo and wants to be a teacher after graduating college. It's news to Suzume because she thought door closing was his job, but turns out he does it because it has been in his family for generations. When Sauta falls asleep, he feels himself slipping away into an abyss. He wakes up on a beach in front of a door. He is stuck to the chair, and his body is slowly crystallizing. Sauta breaks out of the dreamlike state when Suzume's voice wakes him up. She shows him a post about Daijin. It's in Tokyo now. Rumi drops her off. She gives Suzume a hat and tells her to call her guardian. This is when Suzume realizes that she has completely forgotten to call her aunt. Tamaki has spammed her with tons of messages. Suzume and Sauta take the bullet train to reach Tokyo. She wants Sauta to pay her back all her savings she has spent on this trip. They first go to Sauta's apartment, where they look through the books for the worm's location in Tokyo. The area has been smudged for safety reasons. Sauta would have to ask his grandfather about it, but doesn't want to look like a disappointment. They are interrupted by someone at the door. It's a man named Serizawa. He is Sauta's friend. Suzume opens the door and introduces herself as Sauta's cousin. He informs her about Sauta's teacher employment exam test. The second one was conducted the day before, but Sauta didn't show up even though he had spent 4 years preparing for it. Serizawa wants her to get a hold of him and tell him that he is really upset with him and Sauta owns him 20,000 yen. He is about to leave when the alarm for an earthquake goes off. Suzume quickly looks over the balcony. The worm is nearby. The duo runs towards it. While running, the cunning Daijin also shows up. Sauta tries to stop it and commands it to turn back into a keystone, but he refuses. Suzume gets a better look at the worm. The gate is all the way down underground. Unfortunately, only one keystone is unable to contain the worm. The whole of it comes out, causing an earthquake again. Sauta jumps on the worm. Suzume follows suit. People can only see them floating in the sky. The worm keeps on spreading from above. It is about to cover the whole city. Sauta suggests that they will have to pierce the keystone through it. Daijin is also on top of the worm. It tells them that as soon as the worm falls to the ground, the world will end and many people will die. The chair starts freezing. Sauta finally realizes that the moment he was turned into a chair, he was also turned into a keystone. The cat is no longer the keystone. Daijin trots along the worm, telling her to stick the chair into the worm, because Sauta has turned into the keystone. If she refuses to do that, then many deaths will occur from the earthquake. Suzume keeps on trying to wake up Sauta. Daijin is enjoying it. She finally pierces the chair through the worm with tears streaming down her face. The worm gets destroyed. Daijin turns into a giant cat, encapsulating Suzume, to shield her from the impact of hitting the water. Suzume dreams about her mother building her the same chair for her birthday. Suzume promises to keep it forever. She wakes up underground and sees the Tokyo gate wide open. Sauta is inside it, still in the form of a chair. She can't get to him because it's the ever after. Daijin is happy that it's finally just the two of them. She is furious with its declaration and yells at it to never come near her ever again. Daijin sadly goes away. Suzume closes the gate, locking it with the promise to save Sauta later. She makes her way into the open air. The sky is clear and the weather is sunny. She is barefoot with torn clothes. The people around her whisper about it. She goes to visit Sauta's grandfather. He already knows that Sauta has failed. She tells him that he has turned into a keystone and is in the ever after. Suzume wants to know if there is any way for her to bring back Sauta. On hearing this, the grandfather gets angry with her. He doesn't want his grandson's sacrifice to go to waste. He tells Suzume that she was able to save millions of lives. It was honorable of her, so she should keep her mouth shut and leave. However, she is determined to open the gate because it's impossible for her to forget any of this. The old man is perplexed with her decision. He warns her that the ever after is for the dead. Suzume tells him that she isn't bothered with whether she lives or dies after opening the gate, but she can't imagine a world without Sauta. The grandfather cracks up, cackling loudly. He tells her about a gate through which one can travel as a living person. He suspects that she has gone through it before. Suzume remembers being a little girl, looking for her mother in the ever after. The grandfather lets her know that she must find that very gate to get through to the ever after, just like before. She leaves and Sadaijin appears at the window of the hospital room. The grandfather gladly greets it. He tells it to watch over Suzume. Suzume goes back to Sauta's apartment. She washes away the dirt and wears fresh clothes. Shirazawa spots her and insists for her to get in the car with him, because he wants to meet Sauta as well. In the midst of their quarrel, Tamaki finds them. Upon seeing her, Suzume changes her mind and climbs into his car. Tamaki can't have her leaving alone yet again, so she climbs into the car as well. The people passing by keep giving them weird looks. Daijin decides to make an appearance. Tamaki and Shirazawa can't believe a cat can talk, so they dismiss it. Suzume puts the location for her hometown in the car GPS. Halfway there, she and Daijin feels an earthquake. She gets out of the car but can't see any worm in the sky. She thinks maybe Sauta is keeping it sealed inside. They resume their ride. It starts to rain. They stop to get dried and eat something. Suzume doesn't leave the car. Tamaki has had enough. She wants to take Suzume back to their house, because the girl looks depressed, and she won't talk nor eat. Suzume wants Tamaki to leave without her. Tamaki, in her frustration, tells Suzume that ever since she had taken Suzume in 12 years ago, she has to walk on eggshells around her. She has lived a lonely life for Suzume's sake, because who would want to marry a woman who basically has a grown child already? Suzume can't believe what she is hearing and asks her who has she become. To this, Tamaki gives a sly smirk and says Sadaijin. It turns out to be a giant cat when it exits from Tamaki's body. Daijin attacks it, but is no match. The group resumes their journey. The sun is out. It seems like a good day is waiting ahead of them, when Sadaijin speaks out of nowhere. This startles both the adults, and Shirazawa accidentally swerves the car off the road. The car is damaged now. Tamaki and Suzume set out for the rest of the journey on a bike. Suzume tells her that both the cats are supposedly gods. Tamaki apologizes for her words in the parking lot, but admits that she indeed felt like that at times. However, she will take Suzume to the location because she knows the girl is doing this out of love. They reach the ruins of Suzume's house. She digs out her diary and looks for the door. She starts having flashback to the voices on the day a tsunami washed away her mother. As a little girl, she was wandering around looking for her mother. That's when she entered the ever after. Daijin guides her to that door. The three of them enter into the ever after, but it's on fire. The worm has caused so much destruction. It is heading straight for the open gate, but Sadaijin stops it. Suzume and Daijin start making their way through the fire to Sauta. She reaches him and tries to remove the chair from the mount. Daijin warns her that the worm will escape if she keeps going. Suzume relays that she will free Sauta and become a keystone herself. She keeps calling out for Sauta to respond to her. Sauta's memories before turning into a keystone starts pouring through. She manages to pull him out of the cold crystallized form. The curse breaks and he is back into his own body. However, with Sauta getting out of the keystone form, the spot is empty. Daijin has to return back to it. It turns into the keystone in Suzume's hands. All this time Daijin only wanted to be loved by Suzume, and help those close open doors rather than opening them. Sadaijin, the second keystone, still keeps on trying to stop the worm from escaping. Sauta instructs Suzume to concentrate on hearing the previous people's voices for the keystone to work. He starts chanting the prayer. Sadaijin hears the prayers and transforms into a keystone. Suzume and Sauta both pierce each keystone into the worm and seals it. The sky clears up and ever after goes back to normal. They spot someone. It's a little girl. Suzume realizes that it's her past self and runs after her, just like in the dream she had right in the beginning. The woman approaching her is her own self and not her mother. The little girl only wants her mom, but Suzume from the present gives her the chair that was their birthday present. She tells her younger self that life will get better once she grows up. With this, the little girl cheers up and goes back, taking the chair with her. Suzume and Sauta also make it out of that gate. She finally understands that she already had everything. She bids farewell to Sauta. He thanks her for helping him and promises to visit sometime soon. She goes back home with her aunt. One day, Sauta comes back to visit her as promised.